All right, here we are on step 2. Um, I've gone ahead in my H histogram, added the requirements to get the plot set up so it looks good. What we're going to do right now is a conditional mean. So what do I mean by conditional mean? Well, if we look at our underlying data, we can see that we have a lot of binary data associated with it, right? Binomial distributions. Whether you're male, female, student, not a student, good student, not a good student, impaired, not impaired. So each one of these represents a separate conditioning variable to expect a mean. In other words, the average car accident for guys is probably different than the average car accident for females. And if you're impaired, you might expect the costs to be higher than if you're unimpaired. So what we want to do is calculate conditional expectations based on a binomial distribution. And this is fairly simple. Again, these are the cells that are going to be graded. I'm going to go ahead and open them. And then you're going to have to build a formal table. The student will have to build a formal table with respect to this. This is what we call in Excel lingo a working table. And I'll go over how to build an underlying table. All right, so another thing I want to emphasize here, and this happens, that when you submit this document to the server, it's going to get graded by a computer program. So a computer program, if I say on the video that this is equal to, say, this value, then in the computer program, it's going to see if it's equal to B2. That's what it's going to check. And in Excel, you want to use the simplest potential formula. So the grade code is going to say that this is incorrect. And it, from an Excel coding standpoint or an Excel standard reference point, you never put in extra parentheses. You know, because this may just mean B2, but then this is also just B2, right? I can put 60 parentheses on one side and 60 parentheses on the other, and I'm just making things more difficult to understand for the people that are going to try and evaluate a spreadsheet, whether it's at college or in business. And I do want to emphasize that the things that you're learning here are, you know, they're marketable skills. They're things that you can use to get jobs. So we're going to use a function that's in Excel called average if. So we're going to say this is equal to average if, and then we're going to specify the range. And this range, first range, represents the criteria range. So in other words, we're going to go over here. We're going to look at males. So we're going to go to our account data. We're going to highlight that list. Again, that's Control Shift and then the down key. And then we're going to say that if that's equal to 1, and then the next thing we do is pick the range that we want to average over. So in this case, we're interested in the cost. So now Control Shift down in the parentheses, and then just hit a return. And then I want to form that is a dollar value. So we can also look at this, and I can use my F4 key. So I'm going to hit F4 to lock that in, and F4 to lock that in, and then F4 and F4. Now I can create a copy of it. And instead of equal to 1, now we want female, so we're just going to edit the equation and say that's equal to 0. That way we don't have to repick everything. And as you might expect, male drivers tend to have more costly accidents than female drivers. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One of them is that men tend to drive more. If you think about this, you know, if your family, when you're a younger child, goes on a trip, you know, who does most of the driving, dad or mom? And that extra time on the highway means there's a higher probability that he's going to get to an accident, which also means also going to probably be more expensive. All right, so now we're going to do impaired versus not impaired. Another thing I want to emphasize here, in a binomial distribution, you have to identify what you're looking for and then what its complement is. So the complement of male is female, the complement of impaired is not impaired, the complement of good student is not good student. The complement of student is not student. So you got to be careful what you're defining as your binomial and make sure it's truly a binomial. In other words, only two things can happen in the future. So we'll do our impaired one. Again, this is equal to average, spell it right, if. And our criteria that we're interested in is the impaired column. So I'm going to come over here and we'll go ahead and click impaired and then control shift down to highlight all these guys. And then a quote equals 1. That means that we're actually impaired in the driving, and then we want to highlight our claim cost again, control shift down, and then into parentheses and return. So that is our, if we're impaired, and again, I'm just going to hit F4, 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 and F4, and then do a copy, control C to copy, and then control V to paste. I'm inherently lazy, so if I find a shorter way to do it, I do it that way. And we can see that if we're impaired and we get in an accident, our accident costs are going to be higher than if we're unimpaired. And our last one that we want to do is good student, so again equals average if, and then come to our data. So now we're interested in our good student range. So I go ahead and click on good students, control shift and down, comma, and then we want that equal to 1. Okay, and then comma, and now we're going to select our range to average. You can also click on the bottom, do control shift and hit the up arrow, but I'll have to adjust that down a little bit to get out of the cost column. So we can do that by coming here and saying 2, and then go ahead and end that with a return. Go ahead and format it as a $, and then again lock in, copy, and paste, and then we just set it back equal to 0. All right, so that's our conditional expectation variable. One thing you can do at any given time is go ahead and insert a new sheet. So this come in as sheet 1. The grade code looks at the sheets that we've created, so it'll come to if the cost bin is highlighted as graded, it'll come to cost bin. So you can't change the names of the existing ones, but you can add as many sheets as that you want. So then if I wanted to create a formal table of the conditional mean, I would want to do things like, say this is a table 1, and then I have a title, conditional mean of collision claim, okay, and then we have a name, a title. This is going to be a description, so I'm going to go ahead and merge and wrap, set left and go up. On these guys, I'm just going to go ahead and merge, and these guys, I'm just going to go ahead and say merge. And then we have our conditional variable. Drag this guy out so that it looks nice and clean, or we can go ahead and wrap text, set it to center, so it's on 2 levels, and then n, or number of accidents. Alright, go ahead and wrap that one, maybe add a little more space to it, and then average claim costs, and let's just say about parenthesis, $, parenthesis. Go ahead and wrap our text on this one as well. Center these 2 guys up, And then you just want to move things a little sideways until you get kind of a good spacing associated with it. Merge that guy. And then we'll typically put line under, and then line under, and I've grabbed too much here. Let me unmerge and then grab just the 3 that I'm interested in. And then we'll just unmerge and then grab the 3 that we're interested in. And then once again unmerge and grab the 3 columns that I'm interested in to merge together. And on this one, we're going to clear our lines, no borders. All right. We'll add another line under here as we build our table. And then our conditioning variable, we might have sex, and then male, female. And we want to indent these guys over. And then the number of accidents. So in this case, we go to our descriptive statistics tab, our mean male female. This is the count, so this is the number of accidents for male. And then this is going to be equal to our total number of accidents minus the number of male. Alright, so there's slightly more accidents on the male side than on the female side. And then our average claim costs going to be equal to our male side. And then we can just go ahead and drag that down. And then the next conditioning variable that we're interested in is impaired. So now I'm going to have and then we would have impaired it highlights down for me, just impaired, and then not impaired. And again, we'll index over, indent over. And then I think you get kind of the idea in terms of what happens. And at this point, you would finish the table up, put a line underneath it, and then maybe, this table evaluates initial expected claim costs based on selected conditioning variables. Total sample size is 12,747. And add commas there to make it look a little bit more professional. 747 period, and this is just kind of the start. I do want that left not centered, and then we can just drag this down until it fills up. All right, so we go ahead and build our table, and then if we want to move the table into our document, we'll just highlight the table, Control C, come over to our basic Word document, get out of the way. And this section I want left, justified, and then we want to paste special, and we want an HTML format. So that'll bring the table in, and then we can use editing features in Word, since it's an HTML table, in order to get things all set up. Like this is too tight for Word, so we're getting two lines there. We might need to the easiest thing to do actually is to Control C to Control V to cut, Control X to cut the table out, come back to our Word document, and we're just going to extend this so there's more than enough space for it. Control C to copy, and then back to the Word document, different Word document, and again paste the HTML file. Apparently it's still having problems. Maybe if justified, center it, I don't know. I have to work on that. All right, so clearly we're getting some sort of there we go. Word is deciding that there is some aspect there that's a problem. It's probably just in the formatting. We can double click, highlight, and format the cell. Let's just make it currency. And that's probably going to fix all the issues. One other thing you do want to do as you work through this stuff is hit the save button fairly regularly. All right, so in this video what we've done is calculated all of our conditional means, and we've worked on how to do any kind of formal tabling. And that means, you know, anything that you put into your actual report, you want to have actually tabled. You don't want to do something that looks ugly. In other words, we don't want to go through and take like this cost bin data and copy it and just dump it into the table. In addition, you don't want to have anything that's highlighted in your tables because it's difficult to see on the printout. All right, so I'm going to stop the second mock-up video. And again, it's kind of a combination of sort of what I do as well as just kind of going on some external explanation. It's a lot more choppy than the actual process videos are. The next one will be more like the process video. All right, thank you very much. Bye.